What's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Nikki Diamond, here on another episode of Apply Pressure to Life. And today's episode is talking about aura blue. So this is for those who are actually gravitating to the color blue. Last episode was about purple and getting into that. And purple, for those who didn't get to really listen to it, please go back and check it out. But that is for your wisdom and your royalty state, very in tune with your enlightened high vibration. But this now is about the people who are gravitating to blue. And it doesn't matter what shade of blue. We'll get into lighter shades, darker shades, but this is more so for those who are gravitating to blue. And it's okay if you're gravitating to multiple colors. That's normal. And once we break down each color, then we can kind of talk about in the comments, or if you want me to make an episode when it comes down to multiple colors, we can definitely get into that. But right now, let's go ahead and get into the color blue, which is the throat chakra area. This is the one step down of the crown and the third eye chakra. And the throat chakra is super lit. I love talking about this because right now I'm in the aura of just having people understanding how big communication is. And this all happens in the throat chakra. Of course, there's other areas in the body, other areas in the spirits that will help better manifest a better communication. But when you're attracted to the color blue, this is usually your vibration. You're usually in a more spiritual, sacred place. It's very calming. It's stillness in this area. This is also where your intuition is enlightened. You're inspired in this color. Inspiration is drawn from this color. It's an inner peace color. So people who are attracted to blue right now, you are at a calming state. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have things on your mind, but right now you're still. You're in stillness. You're thinking. You're contemplating. Color blue is a dependable state. It's also connected to empathy, which is a little bit different from sympathy. You can be sympathetic and be like, okay, I can hear what you're going through, and I'm sorry that you're going through this, or I'm glad that you're going through this. But to be empathetic is really more of a feeling. It's almost like you've endured it yourself. This is something that you can connect to, which, like I said, goes back and forth to the whole intuition state. Blue is also associated to healing, which I like to reference the avatar often just because there's a lot of great points in it. But if you notice, of course, the water sign is the state of blue, but they also had people who had the water ability or water bending ability, or were the only ones who had the state of healing. No earthbender was able to heal. No firebender was able to heal. Not even earth signs air signs were even able to heal, but water signs were able to heal. So the state of blue is a state of healing. And like I said, blue is also a state of communication, but that's also because it's in the throat chakra. It's right in the center and middle of the throat. The downer side about a darker shade of blue is that it is an indication that you need a spiritual development. Not necessarily a detox, but more of getting your spiritual knowledge intact, being more aware of what you're feeling, because around blue, because you're at a high spiritual state and intuitional state, you are more sensitive to the spiritual realm. So anybody who's attracted to blue, you're naturally going to be more feeling to your surrounding. You can be in a room and just feel people's energy, whether good or bad. 9 times out of 10, you are going to attract those who are overthinking. And that's your intuition kind of kicking in, saying, okay, you know what? This element here needs this, and that element over here needs that. And this is where you kind of lean back into your purple and your third eye and crown chakra, because with intuition is where you start contemplating on your choices, where purple is where you get and actually make your choices. That's why it's a wisdom state versus just a communication, intuition type of vibration. Another negative about blue is that it can be associated with sadness and depression. So, obviously, for whether you know this type of information or not, we know that usually a deep, darker blue, whenever you see it, it's 9 times out of 10 of a very low vibration type of energy. It could be associated with, like I said, sadness, which if anybody is a big cartoon head and have kids, you guys know about the whole emoji, or what's it, the new movie, or it's not new, but it's that movie about the feelings, and they use joy as like a light, which is like a yellow, and then they use the sad gloomy little girl, and she was all blue. Well, that's why they used it at that, and she wasn't a high vibration of blue, she was a dark vibration of blue. So that is why she gave off nothing but sorrow, sadness, and depression, and so that's what the positives and negatives when it comes down to blue. Like I said, blue is a chakra that is located in the throat. It's dead center in the throat. And there are a lot of things that I really want to reveal when it comes down to the throat chakra, because this is going to go hand in hand with green, which is our manifestation chakra, which we'll get into that in the next episode. But why it's so important to me is because, like I said, our world right now is just going into shambles, y'all. It is going into shambles, and I genuinely feel like outside of just what's happening in the world and in everybody's individual life and family and lifestyle is having a true disconnection, to the point of where we're all okay with not having certain friends, which, don't get me wrong, there are certain people that just honestly don't need to be in our circle. Using the friend word, definitely shouldn't be used lightly. But I naturally, and this is just me, nobody has to be part of this movement, but whether I've known you for a long time or I've just met you or I'm coming across you just on a brief in passing, everybody in my vocabulary is a friend. Not because they're a friend to me, but I know who I am in general, and I am willing to be a friend to all. And that will allow a space of where anybody can feel comfortable in being vulnerable. I love to be an advocate of being transparent. It's gotten me in a lot of ups and down roller coasters, especially on the emotional side. And before having this knowledge, it would actually have me burn bridges. But now I'm more on the side of being so transparent, but more having a lighter intention on why I'm being transparent. Meaning I can tell you my truth. I can be honest about my feelings, what I've gone through, what I'm still going through, what I hope to accomplish, whether in a relationship or self, and be true to that. It's up to the next individual if they want to be open, if they want to be honest, if they want to be transparent. And 9 times out of 10, they don't want to be transparent. Why? Because they don't trust. They don't want to be vulnerable to the next person because, they could use it as ammo or, use it against you or, whatever the case is. And even with that statement alone, like, nobody can use your own personal words and what you told the next person, about yourself. They can never use it against you because it's your truth. It's something that you live with every single day. So if somebody decides to bring it back up in a situation at hand, that's nothing for you to feel personally negative about. You just see that this person's heart is not on the lighter side of life. meaning they're not interested in trying to bring you up. If anything, whatever they got going on the inside has now allowed them to regurgitate something that could bring you pain. And when you have a visual mindset, you'll realize that I can't take that personal, even though it can be hurtful. I can't take that personally, because at the end of the day, this person is tormented by X, Y, and Z. This person got a lot of unforgiveness, or, don't have the sense of understanding, or have that spirit of empathy, or honestly, maybe not even a high vibrational spirit in general. This person may actually live of the world, live in a selfish mindset, not saying like they don't help other people, or they don't, give out to the homeless, but they have the mindset of like, if it don't benefit me and my energy alone, then I don't want nothing to do with it. And so you just see that person exposes themselves. That's okay. But that should not stop you as a living human being who has a spiritual intact to this body that shouldn't be vulnerable or transparent to the next person. You have no idea what your story can bless the next person or lead the next person to a light, which for people who know me, I'm a Holy Spirit Christian, like not religious side, but just understanding the idea of who Christ was in the physical and who the Holy Spirit is constantly from the beginning to the end. I'm gonna be one of those people that is gonna be transparent and open. I'm gonna be one of those people that you can see, whether at the top or the bottom, you will understand who I am as a whole person and my ideas of bringing love to this world. And one thing for me, when it comes down to the act of communication, I have learned about tone. Which once again, like I said, because this is the throat chakra, this is also where your quote unquote voice box is. So this is where your tone, either higher or lower in vibration, is set. And when you look and listen to music, it is set the same way. So when you have a lower vibrational beat, melody, tempo, it usually brings in a negative entity, whether it's with the lyrics and it's like speaking about nothing but positivity, nothing but negativity, or something that's more of a higher upbeat vibration, and that makes you feel lighter. It makes you feel like you're enjoying yourself. It makes you feel like you're having more of a good time, a fun time, an inspired time. There's inspiration that's set in this higher tone. So when we speak to each other, the way that we speak to each other is ideal. A lot of people know about it's not what you say, but how you say it. But people forget the empathy aspect of when you say something. So that means you actually take the time to think about whatever you need to say to the next person. How is it going to possibly make them feel? Now, some people do that. And with that, they feel like it's going to create conflict. I do understand that. And this color blue is not something that is just easy. And the only reason it's not easy is because other people who don't have this understanding will not allow it to be easy. It only becomes easy for the people who have understanding when you have so much understanding that you stop taking things personally. That means that you have done all that you can do to tell somebody how you feel and what your true intentions are, and it's up to them to receive it. I'm going to just let it be kind of quiet right there. It's really up to them to receive it. And I am just now getting to the point of where I accept that wholeheartedly. I've gone through my life having my perception of life. And then at this age of 32, really thinking back like, man, all the experiences that I've had, all the connections that I've ever had, I know for me, I've always had a genuine intention on why I joined a friendship or a relationship. And to come to find out that some people don't feel the same way or never felt the same way, that it was just a time in passing when we were around each other, to the point of if I reach out to them randomly, Yeah, I'm not in your world constantly, but it's someone who I've seen in my social media literally since social media was popping, and I decided to say, hey, how you doing? Or, hey, I got something going on, hope you enjoy, be part of it if you want to tap in, whatever the case may be. And people will leave you on red. Old me would have been in my feelings. New me is more of like, okay, well, if you don't want to interact with what I got going on, then why follow me? Now, right there, that's where the conflict can happen for some people. But this is why the throat chakra is so important when you grasp it. If people have the mindset of just like, let me just communicate my thought process, whether it's, hey, I'm usually too busy, so I'm never on social media, or I don't even engage in my own things. So that's just my perception. Or, I seen your message. I actually take the time to see your message, but I didn't know what to say. That's usually a number one. I didn't know what to say, but you knew to open it. You do know what to say. You thought about what you wanted to say, but you didn't want to say it because what? You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be disrespectful. Like, if you don't want to engage with the next person, it's okay to be like, honestly, I didn't find no need to engage with it. It's not my cup of tea. Or, whatever the case may be. It's just about the proper transparency that will allow people to be able to be a little softer when their mindsets and their intentions. I honestly believe that social media has disconnected us a tremendous lot. It's a tremendous amount of disconnect. I know this just because I'm a 91s baby. So I got to see the internet be blossomed. Like, I grew up on the cartoons of Jetsons to the fact that we have AI and you can pay with your palm right now. So to go from a time frame where you had to make a collect call with whatever quarter you had, or if you knew the dial tone button and you knew how to, get to the operator, that's how you were going to be able to connect. If you got a message on your beeper, somebody was trying to reach you. So you made the time, to communicate with the next person. So much so, if somebody came into your spirit, you looked for the closest phone, which they weren't cordless back then. So that way you could just say, hey, just checking on you. What you been up to? Haven't seen you at church. Haven't seen you at the function. Haven't seen you da-da-da-da. How you been? Like, really tapping in and staying more connected, which, raise your hand if you grew up where you at least, not even on a holiday, but just being able to be around other people because your mom and your grandparents or whatever have friends and they knew how to connect. You get what I'm saying? Like, all your old school friends. But something happened around that time frame of middle school. Something happened around that time frame of high school. And all of a sudden, nobody knows how to connect anymore. They say we grew apart. We got our own lives and that was just that. But what happened at the point of where you had so much fun with this individual? To this day, if you thought of a memory of X, Y, and Z person that you grew up with, it was such a feel-good moment. And then you say you grew past this person. Well, not necessarily past, but necessarily just disconnected. Why? Because our parents never really taught us that you should check up on the next person when you feel it. I can speak for myself. My mama didn't. I would see my mom on the phone and helping out other people constantly, but she never been like, look, not only do you treat others as you want to be treated, but always make sure that you make the time for the next person. Make sure that you communicate and ask the next person how they doing, because for whatever reason, you don't know, like, if somebody came up in your spirit, that's when they going through something the most. 9 times out of 10, even if they're not going through something physically, mentally, and spiritually, they may really be going through it and trying to deal with it themselves, but it was brought for you and your spirit so that way you can connect. But 9 times out of 10, what we end up doing, oh yeah, you came up in my mind, but you waited for somebody else, that person, to hit you up before you be like, you know what, I was thinking about you. Or that person came up in your mind and you knew, like, okay, I'm gonna hit this person at some point. I'm gonna do it, but I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Not realizing when you were driving, you could have called this person. Not realizing when you were in the line for Starbucks, you could have texted that person. Not realizing that when you are in line, waiting for your next number to be called so you can handle your business, that you could have reached out to that person, even if it wasn't just a hug emoji, just thinking about you. It's up to that person if they up to, reply. Your spirit gave you an inclination to reach out and to communicate. That state of blue is your intuitional spirit saying that there's a connection that needs to happen. So that's why I say the color blue is so deep in intuition, because it really goes based off of a feeling. Let me give you a prime example, imagery wise. Once again, when it comes down to the shade of purple, y'all all remember the movie Nemo. We all know who Dory was, right? Dory was a blue fish that had black lines and a blue tail, or a yellow tail. The whole darkness of the blue indicates of her being lost. But she's calm about her being lost. There's some times where she's panicked. In that time frame, she's looking for something. She's trying to aim to connect to something, which we all know is finding her family. But yet, all she keeps doing is just keep swimming. Her intuition is kicking in. Like, I have no idea where I'm going. Matter of fact, to the point of, it takes us, the second Nemo or whatever the case is, for us to realize that she damn near almost don't even know what her parents look like. She doesn't, but she has this intuition and this high vibrational spirit. Like, I'm going to just keep going. I have this inner peace of like, you know what? Any fish I say hello to, regardless on who turned they back, because I'm going to show y'all some imagery of like her asking this person, and that person, or each fish, where her parents are. And she has, short-term memory loss. And, she just wants to know where this and this at. And some people couldn't even help her. Some people didn't even answer her. Some people kept swimming. And she never lost her stillness. But here's the thing. She had empathy for somebody who was lost and couldn't find his own child. So she stopped her own mission just to be able to help find this fish's child, knowing she's on her own mission. Now that's powerful, because we all have our own personal mission. We all have our own personal mission. God gave you a purpose. And when you woke up, and even the word says to not make other people your responsibility. But there is nothing wrong to taking some time for the next person, and to be able to say, you know what, even though I have my own mission, I am going to stop what I got going on, because it's in my intuitional spirit to help you out and what you got going through. Empathy. This became healing for Nemo's dad later on, because he didn't realize he was yearning for a family his whole time after losing his wife. Go ahead and rewatch the movie Nemo again. Go ahead and rewatch it. I triple dog dare you. And really take a picture and take a moment of how they structured this whole thing. Call it a coincidence. Call it a coincidence if you want to. Not necessarily. It's not a coincidence. Forgive me, I was getting a text message. But it's not a coincidence. So next time you guys take a look at how things are designed, especially when it comes down to movies, and because I'm a big kid, I'm always going to reference cartoons, but a lot of these cartoons actually have a lot of great messages. And because I pay attention to colors, it makes the message even more grand. And here's the funny thing about it. A lot of the times, I honestly feel like people don't even realize that that's exactly what they're doing. Like when they create some type of Pixar or whatever, don't get me wrong, they may have that high credit and actually know what they're talking about. And that's why they created the colors that they do when they're designing certain cartoons. But I honestly feel like some people just don't really understand how deep these colors honestly go when you're in this aura of state. So if blue is your color, and blue is a color that you're gravitating to, let's go ahead and say you're in the darker shade of blue. Darker shades of blue you're in a state of where your intuition is high. You feel like change needs to happen. You feel like you need to make some moves. You feel like things need to happen or things need to stop. There's an intuition that's happening in your spirit, so much so where you can almost feel it when you're around set vibration, but you are unsure, so you stay still. You don't move. You're not making the choices. You're not actually making the decisions, which is actually putting you in a place of it's either sadness, depression, or just being so neutral that you ignore what you got going on intuition wise. I highly suggest that you aim for a more higher vibration, meaning listening to something that's more uplifting, eating more of your colorful foods, meaning your reds, your yellows. I would even say green, because blue is a state of where you should utilize how to manifest. Your heart is what you manifest, but your mouth and your voice is what makes it active. So you could think something all day long and feel something all day long, but if you're not saying it, it's not being manifested. But if you're saying it, and that's in the good and the bad, the universe doesn't know that it's a joke. So if you saying things like, girl, you stupid, boy, you stupid, you're actually manifesting something, regardless if you think it's just a form of words. No, there's something that's actually being created in that spirit and in that mindset when you're speaking. So you have to be very careful when you're in this state of blue. If you're on lighter state, the state of blue, so that means you're going towards your sky blues and your high colored turquoises, not too deep in a turquoise, but a high vibration of turquoise. This is a calming but good state. You're at a peaceful state. You're, lighter in your decisions. You actually move with your intuition. Even if you have no idea why you feel that way, you're moving into it. It's giving you healing and peace with that mindset. You're able to attend to other people. These are people who are 9 times out of 10 unconsciously empaths, taking the time for others, doing more for others. And honestly, it gives you a peace in this state, and this is really, really good. So whether a darker shade of blue or a lighter shade of blue, this is your time of where your spirituality is vibing. It is where your intuition is at its highest. This is where inspiration comes from, so you can be able to speak it. This is where inner peace is driven. So if you're aiming for more inner peace, you need to have more of a lighter area, meaning you may need to get to water. You may need to get to some type of floating atmosphere. You probably need, of course, we all gonna say a vacation. Absolutely. We all need a vacation, but if you're in a lower shade of blue, then being somewhere where it's a tropical setting, even if it's in your living room, and you add more of your tans and your light blues and your light greens in your vibration, having the windows, exposing some sun, this will give you a lighter mindset, and this will help make your decision making a little bit more clear. You can also consume more of your darker shades and lighter shade foods in the shade of blue. And some of them that I can suggest to you are Concord grapes, which are a darker purple-ish blue grapes. Of course, blueberries are really good. It's good in fiber. We have damson, which I've never had, plums. There are some herbal teas that you can do that are in the more purple and blue range. Butterfly pea flower and that's PEA, which is a herb, and that comes out more of a blue. And then I just discovered a blue oyster mushroom, and mushroom is a good replacement for your meats, and that will be a good way that you can start detoxing and getting more clarity in your intuition if you're one of those people who feel a lot and you want it to get out. You get what I'm saying? Not get out because you're sick and tired of it, but have more understanding on why you feel the way that you're feeling, why your intuition is telling you to lean this way, and yet you naturally want to lean the opposite way because you can't see it. Well, you gotta believe what you don't see. Just like air, air, you can't really see it unless you see when, a tree moving around. But that's part of the manifestation. You have to be the wind. You have to be the air. You have to, not only feel it, but move in that spirit. So just to put it out there, our primary colors are our biggest spiritual wise, what's going to make things so passionate oriented, meaning we have primary red color, primary blue color, primary yellow color. Your primary red color is where you're going to be passionate. Your primary blue color is where you're high in intuition. And your primary yellow is when something is anew. So when you need something to change and you want something to be in a more fresh start, active mode versus a sad, depressed mode, which means you're idle. And you're not supposed to be idle. We can't be idle. We can't stay stuck. Then these are the colors that you want to at least start with. I won't go into the whole orange, greens, all the secondary, colors. But if you're in the state of a darker shade blue, your lighter vibrations in the primary colors is what's going to help you get out of the state of depression. I'm an advocate on if you don't have to take actual medicine, don't go that route. I'm only talking about it only because people who are more shaded into blue, like I said, can be in a state of depression, which means you don't know how to get out of your vibration. Even if you pray, you still, for whatever reasons, you know how many Christians I know that stuck about, I'm dealing with the spirit of depression. Why? Like, riddle me this. Why are you still dealing with depression if you got the knowledge of the Holy Spirit? If you actually understand what you eat is who you become, or what you become. What you take in is what you put out. So if you have this knowledge, then why are you still dealing with depression? Because you're still dealing with X, Y, and Z and won't make choices. But you got intuition to say that you need to let this go. You got intuition that says you need a detox. You got intuition that says you need to fast. You got intuition that says you need to pray. You got intuition that said that you need to let go of this person, that person, that person. As a matter of fact, you got intuition on saying you need to let this person in, but you don't want to because you don't have trust because of what X, Y, and Z just did. We need to get active. We need to get active. And blue is so misunderstood to the point of where these next few episodes, I'm actually going to be communicating with not only my clients, but random people who are down to participate and really get to a state of communication and what that actually means. How can we get to a better place of communication? Can we get to a place of forgiveness? What is too big that somebody cannot honestly forgive the next person? What is having us block each other to the point of where we can't even be transparent to the next person? Like, what is it? Because right now, that's been happening for a long time. We are just closing ourselves more and more and more and staying in our own world, staying in our own bubble. And guess what? We're not being of light. We're not. How are we going to be part of the change of this world if we want to just be like, you know what? It's too much energy. Then that means you're low vibration if you don't got enough energy to pick up the next person or the next people or the next generation. And that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. If you don't got enough patience and you don't got enough energy, then baby girl, you're not feeding yourself where you're able to get enough energy so you can bless the next person and pick them up so they can go ahead and do a chain reaction. It ain't about you. This life right now is not about you. You get benefits, but it's not about you. So I need for people who are listening to this episode to understand that when you're in a state of blue, to pay attention to it, because this is your highest vibration of intuition. And your intuition 9 times out of 10 is going to lead you down the right direction. This episode is really to help uplift people to understand communication is key. This will help a state of healing. It genuinely will. This will also put you in a manifestation where you actually get to touch the next person, and not metaphorically, but physically too. Just touching somebody's shoulder brings healing. Holding somebody's hand brings healing. Putting your hand on somebody's heart, including your own, brings healing. All of these things matter. All of it. So I'm going to need you guys to definitely stay tuned, because we will start our first, introduction into our nail talk aspect of it. And this is where you will get the vibes of the nail salon that I work at, and the conversations that me and Taylor Thomas actually have with our clients. You may also hear my coworker Shayla, who, we all have great vibrations and we communicate about all different type of topics all the time. But we're actually going to go ahead and engage with our clients and just see what they feel, see what we can get from their perspective when it comes down to communication. And maybe in the midst of us actually asking people, we can start seeing what the common denominator on why our communication is not where it should be, and how we can actually make it better. This is how we start learning from each other, and this is how we grow. So I'll end it with this, that I love you guys, that I hope that you guys are more inspired, that you guys are more in a state of inspiration, that you desire for something to be brand new, that you desire to not be in a state of depression and sadness, that you actually feel like you are worth more than what you are used to, and that you know that you have the power to make change, and that's in the positive, not just in the negative. I love you. This is your girl, Nikki Diamond, and we are applying pressure to life.